Hey, true believers, Chris Mack coming at you with a special weekend figure review. Today we are going over the Walmart exclusive NECA 2-pack Casey Jones and Raphael in disguise. And I gotta give a shout out to my mother-in-law because she was the one that found this for me at her local Walmart. So thank you so much. I have been hunting high and low for this thing. Now, as I said, this is a Walmart exclusive. I have looked and Walmart is completely sold out. I asked them about it on Twitter and they said to just kind of click the notification thing for when they get in stock. I checked the NECA store. It is sold out. And sadly on eBay, they're asking $160 and upwards. So if you guys can find one, you know, I really hope you can, because this thing up close is magnifique. And as you can see here, we have Casey, we have Raph in his really awesome looking trench coat, got their names. And I love that they used the original little cutout here of the Turtles from the original movie poster. And then of course Nickelodeon there. You come around to the side and you get the cool little product shots of Raph and his outfit, which is just looks almost like something out of the movies. And then of course you get the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which is the text they used from the original 90s movie. On the back, as you can see here, we got some really, really nice product shots. That looks almost like the stuff that Sergeant Bananas has done. If you haven't checked out his Facebook and Instagram page, yeah, he does some amazing toy photography. And then you get a read up here. I'll make sure to get close up so you can read it and pause it at your convenience. Come back around, and on this side, you get Casey and his product shots. And again, just almost movie accurate. Just really, really nice. You come around to the top, it says Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, NECA, real toys. You know, don't choke on your toys, that's bad. Come down to the bottom, all the legal stuff, you know, who cares? But what we care about is this actually really cool figures or not? So let's go ahead and get the man, Casey Jones, and the awesome turtle, Raphael, out of the box, and let's get a closer look. Here's Raph and Casey out of the packaging, and oh my gosh, you guys, these figures overall are fantastic. Yes, there are a few things that are going to drive me completely up the wall and stay there like Spider-Man, but the attention to detail and the accessories that they come with and just the overall attention, as I just said, to detail just blows you away and makes this 2-pack just something you got to have, especially if you're a comic fan of the Turtles or just of the movies. Oh, these things are so awesome. So with that said, I'm done gushing. Let's get them off the spinner and let's get further in depth of what I'm talking about here. So some backstory on both of these characters. Before they ever made their way onto film, the first appearance of Raphael was in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1 from May of 1984. And then later down the road, Casey Jones' first appearance was in Raphael Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles miniseries. I believe it was a 4-part from April of 1985. And here's the cool thing is Raph sees Casey going overboard with his punishment on thugs and tries to stop the pounding before the crooks are murdered. So you kind of see that in the movie when the purse snatchers jump into the forest and he's like, these punks need a lesson. And Raphael's like, not like that, they don't. So I like that believe it or not, that the first movie really tried to follow the source material from the original Mirage Studios comics. So think of it this way, like when Raphael is thrown through the skylight and the turtles start fighting the foot soldiers in the movie, that's kind of akin to the comics. Casey comes to the aid of the Turtles, Splinter, and April when they're attacked by the Shredder, who's resurrected at this time at April's home, and they retreat to a farmhouse. So I'm wanting to go back and read these older Turtle comics, but man, are they so hard to find. And so I'm glad that, you know, when Laird and Eastman were working with the studio to make this movie, that they kept the source material as were, you know, the next 2 films. We're not going to talk about that. Anyway, before we get into anything about these awesome looking figures, let's look at the accessories. Now, when we do the Marvel Legends and the DC Multiverse, where we say, man, I wish we could get some more accessories here, some weapon storage. Oh, hang on to your hat. So before we start talking about the weapons, Casey, oh boy, NECA really went all out on this figure set. So he comes with a two fisted hands, greatly sculpted. I like the, what do you call it, this texture in the gloves. You can see where the knuckles come. Great stuff there. And then he has one pointing finger. You know, you can either do L for love. No, I'm just kidding. That's not what L for love is, you know, when people do that. But anyway, man, look at the attention to detail, how you can see the skin tones where, you know, the skin on your fingers naturally ripple. And man, the texturing on the gloves. And they made sure that each one looked the same. So we got that. Then we got two more holding hands. Man, these are so cool. And I started taking all this out. I'm like, man, this guy comes with a lot. So yeah, get those hands. And then for whatever reason, you get, I don't know, it's supposed to be like a karate chop hand or just a calm, open palm hand. But anyway, lots and lots of hands. And then, of course, he comes with his trademark golf bag to hold all his weapons in. So and it easily fits over his shoulder, as you saw in the spinner video. Just really nice. I like that brown on there. I made it sure it looks like leather. You know, you can tell that it's worn, but just really great stuff. And so I want to put this off to the side because I want to use this as an example. He comes with a golf club, which is, you have to be a little careful. It's bendy, so if it's bent, you're just going to have to be real careful. Too bad they don't tell you what iron this is. I have no idea. Maybe an 8 iron, I don't know. But the black wrap on it, the silver to make it look like it's metal, just a great job. I like the indentions where he actually hit the ball, and then of course the metal here on the bottom, which in golf, why is there always that little bit of metal on the bottom? For you golf players, let me know. But yeah, and then of course the metal divots on the rod itself. Very cool piece. And then he comes with an awesome taped up hockey stick, and you know, he's like, and my personal favorite, 2 minutes for high sticking. I don't have no idea what that says because of the tape, but I mean, just look at that. That's molded, but it looks like, you know, that nasty, what do you call it, medical adhesive. So you can tell that Casey's knocked a few skulls. I mean, look at the wood, just very, very worn throughout this thing, that it's been used for just about anything and everything under the sun. So love that hockey stick. Then that's the goalie stick. Then he comes with a regular hockey stick and equally banged up, and what does that say? Let's flip it around. Sartor. Is that an actual brand? Let me know. I have no idea. But good stuff. Weather weapon, taped up, just gorgeous. And these fit well in his hand. Just you gotta take it easy to work it in so you don't bust it. And then in the movie he only had one, but he comes with not just one, but two Jose Canseco bats. Tell me, you didn't pay money for these. Ooh. And again, the bats look great. You know, they got that tape around them. Looks good. Looks like a baseball bat. You can tell where it's kind of starting to splinter from smacking people in the heads. See the little divots in the, as I get closer, sorry, in the wood to show that it's been used for everything under the sun. So awesome. I love that we get two. So this is what I wanted to do, is take that, plop those in there, plop our golf club in there and get a focus so you guys can see what we're doing. Take our hockey stick, take our goalie stick. So they kind of hang out, but if you position this on his shoulder just right, you're not going to worry about it slumping. So before we go any further, put that off to the side. And the last but not least, new game. Cricket? Cricket? You got to understand what a crumpet is to understand cricket. I'll teach you. Whack! And again, you can just tell that this thing is probably busted a whole bunch of skulls. I mean, taped everywhere, weathered. And, you know, it's plastic, but it doesn't look like plastic. When you look at it from a distance, it has those wood grooves and whatnot in it. So this cricket bat's just as equally awesome. So this one you have to finagle just a little bit, but that's all of Casey's accessories in his golf bag. So that's awesome that they gave you that option to do that. So cool. Now, with Casey out of the way, let's talk about Raph. And of course, like with almost all turtles, from the old Playmates to now, pizza time. Now, I don't know if those green things are supposed to be bell peppers or pepperonis, but she's like, where's the meat, man? I want an all-meat pizza, or maybe Hawaiian. And people are like, why? But it looks like a slice of pizza. You know, you got the red sauce dripping off the side, and the cheese, and the crust. Awesomeness, and of course, see the olives on there. So, cool piece of pizza. And then, you know, Casey has open hands, or to hold his weapons. Raph has those. And then he comes with 2 pointing fingers. And I love the detail on these things. See if I can get a better close-up, better focus. Yeah, that thing. And again, the attention to detail. I mean, look at the fingernails. My goodness. And then, of course, the shading, the brown to make it kind of look dingy, like he lives in a sewer. The veins. Now, with these, I don't know if it's with every hand, but when I was doing some photography, I used one of these fingers. And I was trying to swivel it back off, and it popped out. So, of course, when you're going to pop something out, make sure to warm your figure up. Because what I had to do is I had to warm this hand up, pull it apart, and put the peg back on this little divot. It was a whole thing. But yeah, it comes with pointing fingers. And then I don't know if these are just supposed to be just like calm resting hands or karate chop hands, but you get another set of hands that look like this. And again, just the detail, the yellow on the fingernails. All the details of where the skin ripples when you're moving your hands about. Just beautiful paint apps on these all together. And then he comes with, in addition to the bandana that's on the back of his head right now, he comes with 2 different styles. Those look nice. You can tell where the felt, or you know, the cloth is supposed to properly sit when it's in that configuration. So I like that you get different options. The only thing that I'm not going to show you on camera because it's a pain in the butt, but with this Raph, because he's wearing a trench coat and a backpack, you have to really finagle these in there. Again, I would suggest warming the head up and the peg and just gently work it in, or else you try to do this while, you know, brand new, it's going to more than likely snap. And from what I've heard, NECA is notorious for that. So I love that we get some more red bandanas, so we get some options. And of course, my favorite, Raphael was always my favorite Ninja Turtle growing up. I'm glad that these are movie accurate sais. You can just see the weatheredness in it. He's like, I lost a sai. It's like, but then it's lost, but I can get it back. So good stuff there. You know, I'm glad April took it and kept it safe for him, even though she couldn't brandish it against the foot soldiers. But yeah, great paint apps. I love the silver. Love the brown there on the handles. You can tell, you don't know if it's wrapped or how that's built, but beautiful, beautiful size. The other thing that Raph does come with, of course, is the New York hat. And you can, again, tell this thing has just been through the mill. I'm pretty sure he found it in the sewer. You know, you got the ribbon on there, or whatever that's called on a hat. And of course, if you want to put the hat on with the bandana, there's a little divot so that you can do that. I'll try to do that real quick. And it sits relatively well. Here's looking at you, Toots. See, looks great on him. I would suggest, however, like what I did when I was doing my photography, to keep it on better, is I did take the bandana part off. But beautiful hat. Love that they made sure that it looks like it's damaged and all that good stuff. Gorgeous, gorgeous hat. So yeah, that's all the accessories. Whew! You just kind of got to take a minute here. Whew! Now, with that said, let's talk about the figures. Let's talk about old Casey Jones first and foremost. Now, my biggest gripe is that Casey's mask does not come off. I actually saw somebody warm this up and just pop it off to see what was under there, and it's a nightmare. It's like an almost unfinished face with just really blackened eyes, kind of like that Batman action figure meme you see where he has the part of his mask taken off and his face just looks distorted. So yeah, I don't know why they didn't give you the option to pop that Halloween, that Michael Myers, no, Jason mask. I know it's a goalie mask, but anyway. But you can see the eyes look good. I'm glad that they at least paid attention to the pupils and whatnot. It's hard to tell on my lights, sorry. I do what I can with what I have, but you can see it there. Get that light, see if I can't get a little bit more on there. No, you can't see that eye, but yeah. They're both in there, I promise. They look good. Hair looks good. I like the way that the mask works around his long hair the way that it should. His coat is awesome. You know, his cut-off jean jacket. You can tell that this was 1989. Chest hair looks good. Does not look like it takes away. Flesh tone looks correct from the comic, the movie. Like the fading in the shirt. So that's kind of a worn shirt. And then, of course, they're rocking the 80s sweatpants, man. I mean, it is what it is. You know, he's got the creepy little leather shoes on. At least they're not, what are those called? Elastic. Yeah, no. And, of course, the veins in the arm to show where the musculature is. Great stuff there. And I love the way that they actually made it look like this was cut. Just good stuff all around. You know, I like the way that the pants accurately ripple, where sweatpants would on a body. Glad that they left the legal stuff on the foot where the peg holes are, so that's good stuff there. So that's Casey's paint apps in a nutshell. Now, Raph, one thing I will recommend is if you have the 2-pack and then you have the other 4 movie turtles, don't take this jacket off. It is a pain in the butt, especially trying to get it back through these loops. So, I mean, you can, because, I mean, if you flip him into a Marilyn Monroe here, move his hand out of the way, you can put his size, and you can see that he has a complete figure underneath. But if you have the other Raph, then why take the coat off of this one? So that's why I'm just like, no. Because then also I've seen people take this backpack off and use it for other applications, but I'm just not that brave, and I don't want to break it, and you have to work it around his arms. There's no snaps like, you know, like a normal figure would, where you just plug it in, the backpack in, or you grab the strap and plug it in here. No, you have to actually work it around that arm, so no. The coat looks just like the movie. I love that they made sure that the buttons didn't look ridiculously big like on a doll figure. The head sculpt is just flipping spot on. Like, I'm glad that we live in an age where, you know, even though it's the nostalgia factor, being a collector and being a lover of turtles, that is just good stuff. You love all the little freckles on his face. His bandana looks great. The dome. It's like, I don't like punkers, especially bald. Bald ones with ugly faces, or green makeup and ugly faces behind masks. And see how you can work the bandana. You have to work it around the shell, so be careful with that. That backpack is awesome. It looks like it's been weathered and worked through and buckled and moved and all that good stuff. And that coat it's felt, and I love that it just does not look like a bulky, like a doll jacket. And of course the hands, where you can see his wrist pads, nice leather done there. Legs, knee pads look great. Then you can see that they're kind of starting to crack. Feet, toenails look great. Musculature looks perfect where his calves are. What was I watching? I was watching Harley Quinn, the new Harley Quinn show, and the Riddler became a prisoner, was on a hamster wheel, and he was running for hours straight. And they're like, God, you had those Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle thighs. And it just made me laugh and think of what I was doing here. Now, when you're doing posing or photographing, make sure that the white doesn't flip out, because as you can see here, it kind of starts to sneak out. And that's on every figure. I've seen other reviewers, and they had the same problem. But overall, guys, I mean, my goodness, the attention to detail. I mean, even when you pull it, you can see where Raph's chest is and all that stuff. So they went all out on this set. So I definitely, even though you can't take Casey's mask off, I definitely will give this figure set a 10 out of 10 in terms of paint apps, because it just, great at paint apps on all the accessories and on the figures themselves. Now for articulation, there are things to love and there are things to hate. So let's go ahead and start with Casey. We'll move Raph off over to the side here. So for his head, he can kind of look down about that much. And because of his hair, he can't really look back all that much. Can spin his head that way. I'm sure it's 360, but I don't want to pop it off. Arms do go 360. Can go that way. And then, of course, flip it up this way. Comes down that way. And again, guys, always warm up your figures. Now, the joint here, you know, if you're just looking at it straight on, looks a little awkward, but at least gives you something of a double jointed elbow. I hate when they give you that lip there, because that just does not look natural, but it is what it is. And it does bicep swivel, so you can spin it 360. Wrists spin articulated well. Go up that much down. Now, what I don't like is there's no ab crunch whatsoever. And these, I think, as I said, are supposed to be more posable on a shelf figures than photography. So you lose that dynamic range there. So you're just kind of like, dag nabbit. But at least you can get them to spin 360 on the torso. Now, as I've said with NECA, they are prone to break. So be careful. As you can see, you have to really warm that up, because I don't want to go anymore and bust it, because then it's going to break my heart. His leg can kick out that much forward, about that far back, so you kind of get a range. Then his knee, more of a single joint, so it's kind of like, it works. And of course, no upper thigh cut or boot cut, so you can't twist his boots, but he can go down that much, and you can't go up that much, and you can't spin it side to side. So come on, NECA, look at what Hasbro and McFarlane's doing right now in terms of articulation. Again, I think these are just more for posing on a shelf, but you know, a lot of people like to photograph these, so come on. So that's Casey. Let's go ahead and do Raph now. And he's kind of the same thing, where he looks down a lot better, but because of the bandana, you can kind of look up about that much, so that's good. Arms do spin 360, but with the coat, you're kind of hindered, so you have to take the coat off, which I'm not going to do. Kind of has more of a single jointed elbow there, so that kind of blah. Wrists do spin 360, and because of the joint, you can go that far down, that far up. Arms can go up, so the coat's kind of a hindrance, but because of this figure, you know, I don't want to take the coat off, so it is what it is, but you can kind of get an idea. And he does have the bicep swivel that can spin 360. Again, it's the coat, so it's just, I don't want to monkey with all that. And then he doesn't have an ab crunch because of his shell, so you kind of, he doesn't have a waist pivot, because, you know, he's all one piece, so there's no way to do that. He can kick that much forward, about that much back. Knees, again, I believe are single jointed, so that's kind of frustrating. He does have a little bit of a pivot in his foot, unlike Casey. Feet can't really go up, but they can go down that far. And I'm thinking, you know, these are Ninja Turtles. You know, like when Raph is fighting the clan, the foot soldiers in the sewer. Remember how he comes up and does that double air kick? So it's just, I wish you could push his legs out to the side. You know, Casey can't do the same thing. So again, it's just, that's the articulation, folks. You are really limited. So that's where the figures go off the rail for me. So definitely a 4 out of a 10. But again, these I think are more for collector and a shelf type thing, as where I like to try to get as much dynamic range out of these figures as I can, so that I can get nice shots. So it is what it is, personal preference. I just wish that they were a little more bendy, like a lot of figures we've gone over in the past. For size comparisons, we see our NECA set here next to the original Playmates Raphael, and I believe these were called like the Big Showtime or Showtime Turtles. These came out around the time that the second Secret of the Ooze came out. And just look at the leaps and bounds over the last, God, those were like late 80s, early 90s, mid 90s, you know, and then the late 2000s, 2020, I think just last year these came out. And leaps and bounds, guys. That's why I'm saying that I love these, because this is kind of what sparked all the Turtle Mania after the cartoon. And I'm glad that later down the road, NECA, when they got the license, gave us more mature versions of what we loved growing up. I mean, I'm glad that I still have these, but I'm glad that I have more movie accurate. And then with the black and white set that we went over, I'll make sure to leave a link up here somewhere. You know, those are kind of comic accurate to a degree, but those things are fun as well. That Walmart exclusive. If you haven't watched the review on that, check it out. But I just wanted to show where we were and where we've come from, guys. And I'm so glad where we're at now in terms of action figures, because as a collector, it just makes you go, ooh, and just have one of those really super geek out moments. So let me know, do you guys still have your turtle figures? Do you have them in better condition? I played the crap out of mine, so I'm glad that I still have them. I'm glad that this is a squishy head one, and I'm glad that my movie ones are in relatively decent condition. I want to hear your thoughts down below. as I mentioned, this 2-pack is definitely something special. Now, I've said in certain reviews where, relying too much on nostalgia, can kind of start to kill it, because then it's like, well, let's start seeing some new stuff. But I will say NECA really nailed it with these figures. Yeah, the articulation, especially in the legs and the ab crunches, is really something to be desired, but I think these figures are more for posing like on a shelf than for photography. So that's where my frustration comes, because I like to have that full range of motion. That's why I kind of bag on McFarlane with the lack of leg pivots, but that's neither here nor there. So I will forgive that on these figures, because the amount of detail that they put into this, and at the initial price point of, what was it, $50, I think, I can forgive that. This is gorgeous. This is worth it, especially if you're a giant Ninja Turtle fan like I was since I was a kid. This just really hit me, and that's why I wanted it. So if you can forgive the articulation, then you guys are going to be happy little collectors. So overall, this is definitely a 10 out of 10 for me. I'm going to forgive the articulation because, yeah, there's just too much to like with this set. So if you've enjoyed it, please, if you can, first and foremost, support your local comic shop and see if anyone's traded one in. As I said, it's a Walmart exclusive. Last I looked, it is sold out, guys. So the secondary market's going to be the other route, and people are really charging up the wazoo for this. So if you can find a cheaper set, I got mine for $60, so it was just like, whew. But that's thankfully to my mother-in-law. But yeah, guys, if you can find this at a good price point, I highly, highly recommend this. And if you've enjoyed this review, we really would appreciate if you take a moment to hit like, share, and subscribe. Helps the club channel more than you can possibly know. And if you wouldn't mind hitting that little Heroes and a Half Shell bell next to subscribe, that way as we continue to upload content, you guys will get notified. Come to the channel. We love hearing your feedback and talking with y'all down in the comments below or on our social media pages, which I'll make sure to leave the links down below. So with all that said, I hope you enjoy the photo slideshow coming up, and I hope y'all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, true believers.